right, there we go.
There he is.
There he is. The man
Oh,
in
it's
the
great
middle.
to see your wonderful face.
I
This
know
guy.
we haven't seen Arun's face the last couple of weeks, so I had a special request. I was like, Arun, this week we're just gonna go 3 for the NBA roundtable, and we're gonna have you join us in a lovely tropical island, maybe. Yeah, and so yeah, what an awesome start for our brand new Wizards rookie. We're gonna start it there. To Denny Abdija. I know that people are pronouncing it different ways. That's how I'm going to do it. Is had an incredible first game. I know it was just a warm up, tune up game, a preseason game, but he was able to go 6 for 6 from the field, and it was just really impressive. I'm going to try to put up some share the screen and put up some stats real fast. See if that works. Um, see if that plays. Okay, so he was able in 24 minutes to put up 15 points, 4 rebounds, and he played really well. I thought Rui Hachimura also played well. Had 18 points. Thomas Bryant, efficient 10 points. We had some good guard play there, 17, 14. So a lot of the young guys got to play. Wagner got 13, Bonga got 4. So it's just a well-rounded game. The Nets actually played their superstars. So if you notice, the Wizards were out without 2 legendary all-star guards in the mix. The Nets put everybody out there. So you get to see Kyrie and Kevin Durant. And they just had also no one played a ridiculous number of minutes, but also a sort of well-rounded according to points. But I was just really impressed with Denny in his first game. I'm going to start with Arun and get your take, and then I also want to get DC's People's Champs take as well. So, Arun, what were some of your takeaways from this first preseason, which was a loss, but we saw some really good things?
Yeah, for Latvia, that was like about as impressive as a debut for a preseason game. I mean, it is preseason, as you mentioned, but overall, it's really encouraging given that Latvia, he didn't. His weakness coming into the league was apparently he's not a good three-point shooter. Well, he knocked down all of his threes, and he hit a buzzer beater at the end of the first half off 1 foot. And then, like, when they started crowding him for his three-point shot, then he ended up posting up and taking it to the rim, which is pretty good for such a young player at that age. And as you said, Rui played really well. He had a nice dunk on Durant. Durant got it back, of course, like with a couple blocks, but overall it was encouraging. The game was, I believe it was like a 1 point game with like 7.5 minutes. They flashed of like Russell Westbrook, and he's smiling on the bench, and he's thinking if Beal and him are playing out there, then they can take this Nets team. Maybe like we'll see what happens. Obviously, not everyone's playing at 100%. The Wizards were down by 26 points in the first half, but overall, it's encouraging that the Wizards should play well for the most part, especially if they're young guys.
Yeah, I just wanted to let me see if this tab works. But I was really happy to see like the Times of Israel, the Jerusalem Post, Yahoo Sports, everyone talking about this guy. It's bringing incredible exposure for the team to a country, in Jerusalem that they probably never would have, cared about the Washington Wizards. And I thought it was really cool that this first really exciting game where he was perfect from the field was on a night of Hanukkah, right? As a Jewish person, I thought that was really kind of a neat thing. It'll always kind of be intertwined to me as his first kind of game as a Wizard. I know it's not a regular season game, but I just thought that was really cool. I just was really happy that all the articles were, talking about him and giving him a lot of love, and it was just a really nice thing to see. I'm gonna get People's Champ. What were some of your thoughts on this game?
From the little bit that I was able to see, because I was recording my New Japan podcast that went up today during the game, but from the little bit that I saw, can you imagine if Beal and Westbrook were in at the backcourt with Denny playing the three, Rui playing the four, and Bryant in the middle? How much better this team could have been against these superstars like Kyrie and not like Kyrie and KD. I think that it would have been a much different result because it would have been a lot better defensively, and they would have been scoring a lot more with those two on the floor. Having said that, the fact that, and I hate to steal your swagger, room, but 8 players were in double digits in points in this game, and the fact that they went in the half down 18 and then outscored them and had margin in the second half by 13. The score shows that it was a close score, a close finish, but the Nets, because they had they, like you said, Ron, they put everybody out there for the first preseason game, and that this young Wizards team was able to bring it back to a respectable score. So that tells me right there that this team is remaining with that identity of being a scrappy, scrappy bunch. That they're not going to just give up. They're not going to be like, oh, we're down 20 plus. Let's just rein it in and get ready for the next game. No, they're down 20 plus. No, we're going to fight. We're going to win this game somehow. And that's the identity of this Wizards team, especially with these young players. And then once you get Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal in that backcourt, along with this young front court, this team is going to be something to look at on this season. I guarantee it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. It's really exciting. So let's take a quick look at the schedule ahead now. There's a game on Thursday, and there's a game on Saturday, and then there's a game the following Wednesday, and then they start the regular season. So I thought we could just really quickly go through them and get your take. It's only 2 teams we're really going to break down because it's the Pistons playing both of the games in Washington, one on Thursday, one on Saturday, both at 7 o'clock. So we'll start there. What can you expect from that next preseason pair of games? I'll start with you, Arun.
Yeah, the Pistons, they're like a weird team. They're kind of, I don't know if they're rebuilding. They've restocked. They drafted French point guard and number 7, but they also made one of the bigger free agent signings by giving Jeremy Grant $20 million a year. They have Blake Griffin. They just came off 2 games against the Knicks. They lost to the Knicks, but then they beat the Knicks. And I don't know, like, I'm sorry, Brian, but the Knicks aren't that good, so it's hard to make anything from that win from the Pistons. The Wizards should be better than the Pistons this season, but it's preseason, so it doesn't really matter. We might not even see Beal or Westbrook or even Bertans and Ish Smith. They didn't play in the last game, so we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah. All right, I want to get people's champ your take on playing the Pistons as the next 2 games for this week.
Well, I know that like these next 2 games are the final 2 preseason games, and the season starts proper on the 23rd. But I gotta disagree with Arun. I think we see Westbrook and Beal in one of these 2 games because they want to get their game reps in before the season starts proper in Philadelphia on Wednesday the 23rd. So I think one of these 2 games, if it's not Thursday, I guarantee Saturday we will see Westbrook and Beal start in the backcourt to get those game reps along with Hachimura, along with Denny, along with Thomas Bryant, to see that true starting 5 and see how they can gel together before the season starts. I think that if we did that, I think we can take either one of these 2 games or both. I think we take both because even without Westbrook and Beal, these young guys that they have to score, if they can play some level of defense against a team like the Pistons, I think they can take both, and especially if they give Westbrook and Beal, in there to play on one of these 2 games. So I think that they'll appear in one of these 2 games. I think they'll take both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a great point because there's, most teams had, 4 preseason games, or some did, and they're only getting 3, and it'll go pretty quickly from Saturday to Wednesday into that 76ers game. So I think you got to see a little bit. You have to sort of see what they can do with it.
Robbie, did you see the article? Robbie, did you see the article that I posted?
Yes, I did. I was trying to figure out how we're going to get that in there. It's going to be really interesting because this is another situation where there's kind of back-to-back games. It's going to be – the article states that the coach doesn't think that the Westbrook is going to be playing in back-to-back games. And I don't know if that's necessarily. It'll be interesting because I thought the league said they were going to crack down on that, but I don't know if that's just crack down on it when you're playing out of market or on national TV, or if they still want superstars playing both games. Arun, do you have any sense on that?
Yeah, since the Wizards don't have any national TV games, like other than NBA TV, it's not really going to matter for them. And I think as far as an injury concern, but they're not really going to care that much. But obviously, if the Wizards end up being good enough, then the Wizards are probably going to have to play Westbrook during those national TV games instead of like maybe you'll have the first night off and then they'll play the second night. They might kind of strategically. As far as like the Wizards go, they seem to have good point guard depth. They have Ish Smith and Raul Neto got double figures, and they drafted Cassius Winston in the second round. He looks like I don't know like how he's going to actually get any minutes with Westbrook plays, but he looks like he could actually maybe get into like a rotation down the line if he develops. So yeah, it's probably not going to penalize the Wizards just because they really only care if it's like a national TV deal, and the Wizards don't have any at this point.
Interesting. So yeah, so it is what I was saying, where they're only going to get penalized for the national TV games. So I think, what are your thoughts, TC's People Champ, on this? It is a really interesting story. I had not heard it, so I appreciate you bringing it to my attention.
I think it's an interesting strategy, and Scott Brooks elaborated on that as I read an article. And he said that, listen, Russell Westbrook is not a spring chicken. Like he's up there in age, and he's been in the league a long time. So you don't want to exhaust and risk injury to him because he hasn't had a lot of major injuries, though he's had a couple surgeries on his right knee. So I get the logic behind Brooks' strategy of when they have back-to-backs, resting him for one of those two games. And then the way that the schedule is set up because of COVID-19, there are going to be a lot of back-to-back games taking place because they don't want these teams to have to travel so much because of COVID-19. So the strategy is very sound. You want to have your coveted player, your point guard, plenty of rest to be very effective throughout the season. And then to Arun's point, you may end up having national TV games in the second half of the season because remember, the NBA has only released the first half of the schedule. We don't know what's going to happen in the second half of the schedule. This team could go out and just be world beaters and be at the top of the East, and all of a sudden the league's like, we want them on national TV. And then next thing you know, we're on national TV. And then you got to figure out, okay, well, this game is now on national TV. We'll rest him here because we're on national TV on the next night, and then he can play there. So I think it's very sound by Scott Brooks. He understands the situation. He understands what the schedule's like. And then as guard play goes, he can even most likely do that for Beal because he's got good guards behind him, like Garrison Matthews, who impressed the hell out of me in the game Sunday night. Even though he was 3 of 6, he still was impressive. So he would make a good backup for Beal. So very sound strategy by Scott Brooks.
Interesting. All right, we got Carroll with the scoring update. We're going to bring him in now.
All right, if you were checking out the Monday Night Football game, Baltimore versus Cleveland, Baltimore came out after halftime and scored a touchdown. Lamar Jackson threw the Edwards, the tight end, for a touchdown, making it 28-14. Then Cleveland just answered with the scoring drive of their own. Kareem Hunt with a 5-yard run. Unfortunately, the kick after failed. So Baltimore is up 28-20. This is a interesting game because Lamar Jackson is 5 for 8 for 74 yards with 4 sacks at quarterback, but he has 9 rushes for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I believe I saw a stat. This is the 38th game in a row that Baltimore had over 100 yards rushing. They had that in the first half. So I took Cleveland in this game, but Lamar Jackson is doing it with his legs because Cleveland is definitely getting some pressure on him in the pocket. And they're taking away their wide receivers, so he's ad-libbing and keeping Baltimore up by 8 right now and driving the ball. It was a 3rd and 7, and I believe they did get the first down, but then they had a penalty on the first play of the next series, and now they're 1st and 15, so it's an interesting game. AFC North, we know Pittsburgh lost 2 in a row. Cleveland sitting at 9-3, Baltimore sitting at 7-5, fighting for their playoff lives. they need this win. Cleveland wants to keep their momentum going, so yeah, I'll give you more updates if anything else happens.
Sounds
Can
good.
we
Yeah,
talk about how funny? Can we talk about how funny it is that the Cowboys got flexed out of Sunday Night Football this week for the Cleveland Browns?
yes.
I know we're talking basketball, but it's funny as shit.
That is funny, but the other thing is the Steelers are rooting for the Ravens in this game because the Browns are right on their tail. So how odd is that, right? The Steelers probably, if they have the tiebreaker, they'd be rooting, in this game, against the Browns. So I thought that's kind of a super strange, bizarro world. But I'm happy that I live in a world where the Washington football team, beat the Cowboys twice and the Steelers. I can't believe it. And there's a chance if they win these last three games, they could all go all the way back and get to Carroll's prediction of 9 wins, which is crazy because no one 5 weeks ago thought any team could be above 500 or maybe even at 500. And
Robbie,
I predicted 8-8. It's still
yeah,
Robbie,
there. 8-8 still
Robbie,
there.
I'm number 415 in the world in Pick'em, Robbie.
I
I
know.
know it
It's
was a
it's off,
stretch at the
Carol.
beginning, and
Congrats.
I didn't think it was going to happen either. But I'm riding for my 9-7, Robbie. I'm riding for my 9-7.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, they already hit the 6 wins that I was expecting. Oh, just overthrew them. That would have been a nice one if they had gotten that. The Ravens are up 28-20, but it's a fourth down. It looks like they're going to have to probably, kick it here and rely on their defense. But thank you, Carol. We'll bring you in if there's any other scoring updates. I'm going to go back to the Wizards schedule because let's just talk about that 76ers game. It's the first game back on Wednesday the 23rd. We'll start off with the DC's People's Champ. What is your take on playing the 76ers as an early litmus test for the Wizards?
Definitely an early litmus test because you have in the middle of the court, you have the matchup between the young Thomas Bryant and the wonder kid known as Joel Embiid. So you definitely going to have to look at that matchup to see who comes out on top of that one. But this is going to be the game where even if Arun's prediction comes true that Westbrook and Beal do not play these preseason games, they will definitely be in for the regular season opener. And I think that the 76ers team, I don't think they have the defense and the team to be able to stop this starting five that we are bringing to them with that backcourt of Westbrook and Beal, that front court with Hachimura, with Denny, with Thomas Bryant. So I'm going to predict right here, right now, that we win that very first regular season game, and it begins to show that this team is something that you should be watching as the season progresses.
Yeah, for sure. Arun, what is your take on the 76ers?
Yeah, I think Beal and Westbrook will play in the preseason, by the way, just not like a lot of minutes or anything. But in the bubble, the Wizards actually almost beat the 76ers, but they're also, I mean, it's a largely different team for the 76ers. They got Daryl Morey to make some moves to make hard more shooting with Steph Curry's brother and Danny Green. But I still think, I agree with Ken, I think Washington actually does come away with the win. There is actually an interesting rivalry between Joel Embiid and Russell Westbrook. They've been jawing back and forth with each other with their past, especially when Westbrook was with OKC. So I think that's an interesting dynamic to look forward to. Russell Westbrook's going to try to dunk over Embiid, or vice versa. If Embiid's going to do a little dirty action to Westbrook, shoving him down, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, Beal will be the key piece. He averaged 36 points per game after that All-Star stuff, so hopefully he keeps going.
Yeah. All right. And then the last part of it, the equation, I guess, because we're coming back on the 28th, so we'll have that 76ers game to recap. Probably won't talk much about the preseason, and then we'll have this other matchup, which is the Magic are playing at the Wizards. It's two games back to back. It's the first one of those ones we were talking about. So Saturday and Sunday, both in Washington, both at 7:00. That'll be a really interesting weekend. Arun, I'll start with you. What are your initial take on the Magic this season?
The Magic, they're coming off being the 8th seed. They actually took a couple games off the Milwaukee Bucks. Not many people predicted that, but this is one of the teams in the division that Washington is going to have to beat. I believe last year Orlando I think they have the Wizards number, but especially in the regular season, I think this is why Westbrook is a good player. He plays really hard in the regular season. These are not one of, although Westbrook will only play in one of these games, so that'll be something to look forward to, and we'll see how that works out. But these are two very winnable games for the Wizards, especially if they want to make a playoff run. And looking at their schedule that you have up here, and pretty early on, the Wizards could go. They should get off to a really good start because not many of their opponents are going to be projected to be above 500. So let's see how that works out.
So the Browns were just intercepted by the Ravens, and they ran it back, and it was almost a touchdown, but they got him down at the 1 yard line. They're reviewing the goal line right now. Yeah, he's just short. They'll get it first down on the 1 yard line for the goal. So I'll let Carol break in with whatever scoring news that will hopefully bring. Again, it's 28-20 with 4:24 left in the third. Baker Mayfield's first interception in the last 187 pass attempts ends, I think it was like the second longest streak. So we'll see what happens there. But it's some exciting stuff for sure. That was really easy. But I'll let Carol. Carol, are you watching this? Can you break it down?
I'm sorry, Robbie. I was actually taking care of some personal business right now. I just saw the play after you were breaking it down. And
Yeah.
it looks like J.K. Dobbins getting in from a 1 yard run for the touchdown. They're about to make it 35-20. Unfortunately, the Cleveland Browns are still the Cleveland Browns against the Baltimore Ravens for some reason. Last week we saw them balling out against Tennessee, made them look foolish, and this week they're looking like the old Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, just the Ravens have their number. Like, this happens sometimes with certain rivalries. It's kind of like what we were talking a little bit about before with the Giants, how it doesn't seem,
Block the kick.
yeah,
Nice.
block the kick. Anyway, so I guess it's not.
Now it's a
It's
14-point
34-20,
game.
so it's a 14-point game. Yeah. So, anyway, but that's, what a weird thing. It's kind of like it's interesting that the Giants are kind of our team there. Kind of like this game is for Cleveland. So, but so I can commiserate in some ways, but I'm kind of happy, even if I kind of like Baker Mayfield, but not tonight. So, but we'll get into more scoring updates. But I guess we're almost done. But I did want to get Champ, your thoughts on the Magic real quick.
Sorry, I was looking at our group chat and Tim just said, "Don't throw that dish near Bowser's Castle."
Nice.
Don't throw that near Bowser's Castle. I love it. Tim,
Yeah.
you're awesome. But the Magic scare me. The Magic scare me because it's the same lineup they had when they absolutely owned the Wizards during the season that just passed, including in the bubble. And so this game scares me. But at the same time, we have different pieces now. And when I think about it, and I said it during earlier on about the starting five, I think that the starting five may not be Denny. I think that it may be Rui and Thomas with Davis Bertans on the front because remember, Davis just signed that really big contract. So I'm assuming he's going to be the starter, and they're sitting him out to rest him. So if you have Bertans in there as part of that front court with that back court, the Magic don't scare me that much. I think that, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, I think that they take two from the Magic to get that early advantage in the East, along with getting that victory over the 76ers. I think that this team starts 3-0. I really think this team starts 3-0 and really lets the world know, pay attention to us.
It would be really interesting. It'll be interesting to see which games Westbrook plays of the back-to-back, whether they choose to rest him in the middle game, which I would assume, so it'll be the Saturday game, maybe play the Sunday one. It'll be interesting. And then the following week, we're going to have to play the Bulls 2 games, both in Washington as well, and then we're going to go on a road swing. So a lot we're going to be definitely breaking down the 76ers and the 2 Magic games, and then we'll preview the 2 Bulls games, the Timberwolves game, and I think one more. Let me just see here.
Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
is that going to be before? Or no, yeah, the Timberwolves, but is Brooklyn before? Yeah, Brooklyn's also before that next show too. So yeah, we'll have 4 games that following week. So yeah, they're going to try to pack them in this season. They're doing a much longer season than hockey. They've sort of come out that hockey's probably going to start mid-January, and they're going to have a much shorter season, only in the 50s, where in basketball. I believe it was 70 something games. Is that right? Or what was the number, Arun? Do you know?
75 games.
75. So they really only took 7 games off the schedule, which is a lot less, versus in hockey, I think it was maybe 53 it was. So, that's a significant cut in games, almost 30 games, So it'll be interesting to see how these, usually the seasons mirror each other so much. It'll be interesting to see how that fluctuates when we bring back our Capitals talks. I have to say sorry to our other Capital correspondent. I know she's a big 49ers fan, and she was pretty disappointed in her team. They still put a valiant effort out there, but it was unfortunately for Anna Knox, it was not going to be the 49ers day. But it was exciting. I'm going to get each of your quick takes on the upcoming 2 weeks, and we're going to bring Carol back in as well. But I'll start off with Arun. What are your thoughts on both Carolina and obviously next week with Seattle? Do you think they split them, or do you think they lose both, or do you think they win both? What do you see with the Washington football team?
Yeah, I think it would be more winnable if Alex Smith were to come back. Then I would say especially against Seattle and Carolina. And I think Carolina, that's more I had that as a win. So and I had really low win total because I figure Ron Rivera wants to get revenge on his old team. Antonio Gibson being out, if he comes back, I think he's probably still going to be out. So that's going to be tough. Seattle, as Duchesne pointed out, they've been pretty down, up and down. Recently, they did have a nice win, but as he pointed out, they lost to the Giants. So I think Washington's defense, they're good enough to carry the offense to a win. Chase Young is that special defensive player that Washington hasn't had since Sean Taylor. So we'll see if that can happen against Seattle. I don't think it's gonna happen against Seattle, but it's been wrong before, and we'll see what happens.
I got to troll Arun because Arun had us going 2-14 this year. How you feel now, son?
Well, I was assuming Dwayne Haskins was the starting quarterback. I didn't assume Alex Smith was going to come back and be serviceable. We saw what Dwayne Haskins was doing at the end of the game, trying to throw that game away. So
and you might be right. Haskins may have only won 2 games this season for us. You might not have been wrong with that assessment. But I am happy that
I'm happy I'm wrong too. I'm also maybe next year I'll also I think this is the most pessimistic I've been. So I'm yeah, it's working out pretty well for me. I've been 6 wins. Last year was 4. So maybe they're trending down. It can't be. And if they disappoint me, then it works out.
Hey, I mean, I believe in that idea to bet against your team. I've been doing it the last 4 weeks and it's worked. So I understand that logic. People's Champ, those next 2 games, real quick thoughts on Seattle and then the Panthers?
Seattle is going to be the tough one. And y'all said it earlier on in the Washington football team segment. Russell Wilson is going to be one of the key factors in this game. The other one is going to definitely be DK Metcalf. Because DK Metcalf is having a hell of a season at wide receiver. But if this team can be as disruptive as they were against San Francisco, as disruptive and as timely as they were against Steelers, I think they can take this game. But in our pick'em, I did pick Seattle because Seattle is definitely a much better team. They know what to do when it comes to both offense, defense. But our offense has been a bit of a struggle. So I had to go with Seattle, but I feel like this is, as Duchesne said earlier on, this is a winnable game. They just have to get off of that whole thing of not scoring in their first possession. They haven't scored their first possession all season. They need to get out of the gates fast. They need to get out of the gates fast and score on that first possession. Even if it's a field goal, score something and make Seattle think about it wait, we're in this team's house, and they just scored on us on their first possession. What do we need to do to keep it together and keep pace with them? So the key to them winning, score in the first possession. Make them think about, wait, this is not the same team we dealt with before. We need to think about this. So I picked Seattle, yes, but I will be happy to be wrong if they're able to go out and score in the first possession and make Seattle think about it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Carol, what is your take on the next two games?
The Seattle game is definitely going to be their biggest test of the last games of the season. Not along with DK Metcalf, you have Tyler Lockett. I have DK Metcalf for my fantasy football team, so I know what he's done all season. He's only been shut down one game. He's been putting up good numbers, 100 yards, touchdowns, and almost every other game that he didn't get shut down in. So it's going to be interesting to see how this front seven works, and if they can get pressure on Russell Wilson and keep him in the pocket, and let these cornerbacks do what we've seen them do when they get pressure. They can definitely beat Seattle. Starting fast, I'm not really too concerned about starting fast at this point because we've seen this team be able to come back in the second half and make adjustments, which we are not used to. But the adjustments that they've been making, going back to week one against the Eagles when they were down by 17, or I think it was more than that. I can't remember so long ago. But I know they were down and they came back after they made their adjustments. So starting fast would definitely be a plus because, as I mentioned earlier, Scott Turner definitely does call a better game when he has the lead. But the way this defense is playing, the way this team has been playing, and finding ways to win, finding ways to come back, finding ways to swing the momentum back. Even in special teams, they haven't scored a touchdown, which I would love to see. But you saw Sims make a play, returning a punt, 22 yards, and change the swing the field position. So all three phases of the team are playing well, and right now at this point, I don't see any lead that they're giving up in the first half that they won't be able to come back from. I mean, we saw them come back from, big against the Eagles in the first week with Haskins at quarterback. We've seen Alex Smith take control of this team, and this offense to make it look, like an NFL offense. We've seen them getting other wide receivers involved in the game. We've seen them force something to McLaurin trying to get him in the game, but they've been bracketing him. We've seen Logan Thomas, I mentioned earlier, making some plays in the receiving game and in the passing game with the wildcat that they use with him. He's got a couple of first downs on fourth down, and throwing a couple of passes with ex-quarterback. So I don't really see a flaw in this team besides starting fast. If they start fast and actually score points on their first possession, which last DC's people chance that they had all season, if they can do that, then that makes this team very scary. And as Coach Rivera said, nobody wants to play us right now because even though they're getting slow starts, they're playing good football in all three phases of the game. And I dare to say the ball is bouncing the way of the Washington football team right now.
Yeah. So
Bobby, real quick, sorry, I forgot to mention about my thoughts on Carolina. This is gonna be really quick. Teddy Bridgewater does not scare me as much as Russell Wilson scares me. That's why I didn't really mention it. I think we can beat Carolina, but Seattle is the team that I'm more concerned about from Carolina.
Yeah. I kind of thought that when you didn't mention them that you were talking about the one that you were more worried about. So thank you for clarifying. So interesting call. The Ravens had too many people on the field, which they challenged, and the Browns won that challenge. I was so curious because I thought it was a pass interference call. I was like, you can't challenge that, but you can challenge too many people on the field, and so now it's 1st and 5. And they're about to. The Browns ended the third quarter on a really nice run for a first down. They're still down 14 points. It'll be interesting to see how this game turns out. But I hope they're able to, do some damage to Seattle. Seattle does scare me a lot. I think they can put up some numbers on our secondary. So I think we're going to have to keep pace. I definitely think if we have Alex Smith, we have a chance to win. I know that you said that no lead is too big; they can overcome stuff. And I know Haskins did overcome a lead, to the Eagles in Game One, but I don't know if you could to a high-powered offense like Seattle. I think maybe they could, but I wouldn't want to put them in that position. I think if we're from behind, I definitely think we have a much better chance with Alex Smith getting to the lead. But that's sort of my quick take on it. But hopefully we get both wins. I will root it, or I'll pick against us and root for us in both of them to keep the streak alive. And so yeah, but I'm going to let each of our two guests get their final thoughts real quick, Carol, and then we'll get our final take as well. Rune, thank you for joining us. It was nice to see your face in a wonderful beach or tropical something background, and let people know where they can follow you for your picks on Twitter, and any final thoughts you want to give about anything.
Yeah, you can follow my picks on rnthings.blogspot.com. I was just thinking about the other former Washington players. Colt McCoy, Alfred Morris had 2 rushing touchdowns against Seattle. So anything is possible. And yeah, shout out to my mom. I guess Carol mentioned my mom again.
Hey, I told you I still feel bad about losing to your mom last year, man. I'm determined. I lost to somebody's mom in NFL pick'em, man. I couldn't look myself in the mirror, man.
Maybe there's like a world where she's like in the top 300. That would be pretty disappointing for me too. So I don't know.
Technically, we all lost to Arun's mom, so don't feel too bad.
I take it personal, man. I played, I coached. I lost to somebody's mom, dog. I lost to somebody's mom. I couldn't look myself in the mirror for a whole off season, man.
I mean, where do you think Arun gets all of his sports knowledge from?
That's cool. She can beat him. Not supposed to beat me.
Yeah. And then, I guess my final thought is, Robin Lopez, you better pick it up. 0 points, 2 rebounds, 3 turnovers. Are you going to become the next Jason Smith or Jan Mahimni? So pick it up.
Oh, God.
Nice. And I thought you were mentioning that we haven't had an RG3 sighting yet because he's still on IR.
There's not much to say about RG3 at this point. On video, he's only come on the voice. Keep a straight face. Pretty much
after that last breakdown he gave us, there's really much nothing else could be said about RG. He pretty much did his whole life story in that last clip last time.
That's true.
Oh, he has overcome again, I guess, from his IR. I haven't followed his tweets lately, but probably tweeting about God and overcoming the odds and shutting down the haters.
Hey, man, true. Like I always say, potential has got the most coaches fired.
That's true.
Working on Harbaugh.
That'd be pretty funny. Well, Arun, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks when we bring back the Wizard season.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Arun, take it easy, man. Happy holidays, brother.
You too.
All right, DC's People's Champ. Let people know what I'm sure there's a ton of wrestling that you're going to break down this week. You said you broke down a podcast already today. What's on tap for the rest of the week for the No Spots?
All right. Well, this is a Sports on the Hill podcast exclusive. I haven't even told my podcast co-host this yet, but we are taking 2 weeks off after this week's pod for the holidays, and we're going to revamp. So that's happening. But this week we are going to be previewing WWE TLC, which is coming up this Sunday on the WWE Network. Again, we put out a podcast today recapping World Tag League and Best of Super Juniors final. And anybody who's a wrestling fan who's watching this right now, go if you can and find it somewhere and watch that Best of Super Juniors final between Hiromu Takahashi and El Desperado. My God, that is what you call a classic wrestling match. Go watch it. But we will be breaking down. We will be talking about TLC and of course what happened this week with the go home shows for Raw and SmackDown for TLC, as well as NXT, AEW Dark, all that. We got all that coming for you as well. And then Impact had their final pay-per-view of the year this past Saturday. So we'll talk about that as well. So that's all coming up this week.
Got one quick question for you on all the rest of it. Do they take any? I know that they don't take very many vacations, and there's not very much off time in wrestling. Is there a little bit of a lull for Christmas, New Year's, or do they still make them work even then?
I am so glad you asked me that question. Yes, um, because Christmas falls on a Saturday, on a Friday, there will be no SmackDown. I think they will actually take SmackDown and air it on Fox this come on Christmas, but they will not actually be wrestling on Christmas. I think that the athletes the wrestlers will have Christmas off, and then they'll be back at it live starting on that Monday. So normally, normally what they do for Christmas, sometimes they'll be live. Sometimes, well, most times they'll take shows ahead of time to air for Christmas if it falls on a Monday or something like that, or whatever day that SmackDown is. But this year, because it falls on a Friday, I believe that they will tape it
Ooh.
ahead of time so that the wrestlers that are on the SmackDown brand will have that night off to be with their families and things like that for Christmas. But typically, the Christmas holiday, the Christmas and New Year's, they typically tape their shows ahead of time so that the athletes can have that time off. So yeah, that's looks like what the plan's gonna be.
But there's still recordings on each of those weeks. Like you can still watch SmackDown and Raw the weeks around the holidays, and they're new
Correct.
episodes. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. They tape them ahead of time and then they air on those days, but they're not live. So again, the athletes are basically at home with their families and enjoying the holidays and things of that nature. So yeah,
That's a
they don't.
cool in
It's
between
rare.
because I didn't know. I know some sports do play on Christmas and some sports don't. You know, and it's obviously very different sport to sport. So that's interesting.
All right,
Right.
Well,
Riley, you
awesome.
gotta.
Thank you for that breakdown, and we look forward to in a couple of weeks having you back on. We'll talk about the early Wizard season when we reconvene in about 2 weeks.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, DC People Champ, holler at you later on, man. Happy holidays, brother.
Yeah, if anybody wants to check out No
Happy holidays,
Spots,
guys.
happy holidays. And they want to check out No Spots Against the Power, check out sportsothp.com. Click the podcast partner link. And both, if you want to hear Dujanay's podcast or People's Champ, they were both on tonight. You can check both of them out on that as well. So I appreciate all of them and Arun for joining us. It wasn't the full Wizards roundtable, but it gave us a time to kind of preview the season a little bit, which we were originally going to have a little boxing stuff, but I know that didn't happen. I know there's a scoring update, but I'm trying to stall. But Carol, what just happened in that latest one with the Browns?
We just had a score by the Cleveland Browns to make the game 34-27. Baker Mayfield bought some time with his feet. The cornerback and the wide receiver for Cleveland, Higgins, who scored, feet got tangled up. The Baltimore Ravens defender fell down, and Higgins was wide open after Baker Mayfield bought some time. And it's now a one possession game with around 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Y'all know how division games are. It's going to come down to the last possession most definitely. And Cleveland looking to get this Baltimore Ravens monkey off their back.
Oh, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Let's go Ravens. Real quickly, I wanted to give a little update. As people who are watching live and not listening, they'll notice I'm actually rocking the new Capital Threads I talked about. They have gotten restocks in person. So if you are down near Capital One Arena, the store there has them. I know it's a hot seller, the number one seller on NHL.com and on all the retail websites. You can't buy them online. So if you're looking for a last minute thing and you happen to live in the Washington, D.C. area, which I know a lot of our listeners actually listen from all over, but if you do live near or around D.C., they do have some sizes available with some Tom Wilsons and some Ovechkins and some Backstroms in stock and stuff like that. So hurry down there. I want to thank my parents again for the birthday present. I also want to thank all the shout outs. It was really cool. Not always you get a Super Bowl MVP giving you a birthday shout out. I really love everybody for liking that and sharing that, and I really appreciate all the love and support last week for my birthday. I had a great birthday week, and it was bookended by two amazing Washington football team victories. Usually, like I'll get one week or the other that I have to choose, but the fact that We have a 4-game win streak, and it was over my birthday, and my birthday didn't, take some of that luck away. It was really awesome. But anyway, if people want to check out that birthday wishes video, facebook.com/sportsothb. If they want to see more about what I was talking about, it was really nice of him. And yeah, it's just an incredible week. I'm really happy. I thank my friends for doing a video game party with me this past weekend. That was really cool of them. And it's just been really, it sucks. Usually around my birthday, I get to see you, Carol. I usually get to see a lot of my friends in person, but the virtual thing and being able to do this Zoom every Monday night with you has always been special, and I really appreciate it, and I'm thankful. It's a time of giving. I hope people find a way to give back to their friends, check in on your loved ones, try to do a Zoom party, try to, check on everybody that you love, and tell them that you love them. The holidays can be a tough time for people, especially when everyone's remote. I know that Christmas is coming up soon. Happy Hanukkah to those celebrating. It is the 5th night of Hanukkah tonight. My son has really been loving Hanukkah. This is his first year really celebrating. So happy Hanukkah to those celebrating. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate that as well. He is one of the lucky kids that gets to celebrate both. And we look forward to having family and just together a simple Christmas. But I hope that you have a Merry Christmas, Carol. I really appreciate this podcast. And this has been a crazy 5th season trying to talk about this COVID seasons here. I hope that you're right and the Washington football team makes a miraculous win. That would be so 2020 of them to do this. It would be quite amazing. We've had a champion each of the last 2 seasons, I'll remind people. District of Champions merged 2018 Capitals, 2019 Mystics and Nationals. I know that we didn't have any in 2020, but it would be the 2020-21 season for the Washington football team. They usually call it the 2020 season because the season's in 2020 for the most part. But hopefully that happens. That would be really exciting. And we'll have a lot to cover. In January I mentioned hockey's coming back. We're interested to see. We'll talk about in the upcoming weeks the order of the show, whether we'll have hockey, basketball, football, what we'll do first, what our time will be. So stay tuned to facebook.com/sportsothb for all that's scheduled for the upcoming shows after Christmas. But Carol, that's all I've got, but I'll let you sort of take it away with any final thoughts you have.
Well, if you were watching the Monday Night Football game, it's not 34-27, it's 34-28 because Cleveland went for the 2-point conversion. Baker Mayfield went for a short pass to Kareem Hunt in the end zone. It bounced off of his hands and landed into the tight end's hand that was wide open in the back of the end zone. So it's now, 34-28 with 12:52 left in this classic division battle. It looked like the ball is starting to bounce Cleveland's way.
Yes, and unfortunately, a great pass. It should have been brought in on a 3rd and 8. He's, just, oh my goodness, wow. What a drop. It just goes right through his hands. They're going to have to punt the ball back to Cleveland.
Pressure burst pipes, baby. Pressure burst pipes. That's what happens sometimes. So we're going to be continuing watching this game. Make sure you go check out sportsothb.com for all the shows archive, all of the podcast partners button. Click on and go check them out. Check out the Sports OTHP apparel line. I'm rocking a hoodie tonight. We got the District of Champions backdrop in the back. Robbie got the District of Champions pillow in the back.
I see you got the sticker on the back of your laptop too. That's peeking out from behind. You can't see it from your angle, but I can see it.
Yeah, I always had it on. I always represent no matter where I'm at. Always Sports OTHP. You know what it is. But go check it out. Go follow the YouTube channel, Carol Porter III with 3 eyes. There's IG, Carol Porter, Sports OTHP, Sports OTHP Apparel. Same thing on Twitter. Come check out if you need a new ride, new, used, pre-owned, certified leases. Come holler at me down at Waldorf Honda, 2450 Crane Highway, North Mount Side, across from the Popeyes and the Lowe's. You don't just have Hondas. I got, a variety, selection of any and everything that you're looking for. So come holler at me. I'll be going to work tomorrow. I'm supposed to take off, but I got a client coming in looking to make another deal tomorrow. So if you need that new ride, don't hesitate to hit me up.
It's like the Honda days, right? It's got
Yeah, happy
all
Honda
those.
days. Yeah, we got so many deals, incentives end of the year. You know, we trying to get cars off the lot. Got the 2021s coming in. We still got some 2020s on the lot. We got some of the 2021s in already. Sold a couple of Odyssey top of the lines this week. Sold a couple of Pilots top of the line this week. So come check it out if you're in the market for a new vehicle. Guarantee we can make that deal happen at the price that you want and the vehicle that you need. I'm going to end the show with my man Renegade Money Convo, and you know what it is, back-to-back combo of videos. Make sure you go check them out, go follow them. We got some big things coming up. Go follow them on Instagram, Renegade703, same thing on YouTube. Stay tuned for so much more. Taking a week off. Y'all be safe, be blessed, enjoy your family, stay clean, hopefully COVID free. Enjoy your time away. Enjoy your family. Appreciate all the love and support. All I have to say is CP3 live from the lab. We about to be out. DC Sports Writer Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. And we out.
Money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you've been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't want to be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money's what I'm talking about. Money, make you shut him off. I'll never ever talk about it if you never had the clout. You don't know what to say, stay up out of my way. Cause money, make you shut him off. Keep playing with this Goonies, boy, I'm gonna have to make the call. Stay in bounds on your pivot, boy, if you gon' ball. Cause a lot of niggas be fake, and you really can't play. Cause we done got it out the mud, nigga, what you talking about? Screaming, oh my God, money got me pride. They living a lie. Look into my eyes, they might seem surprised. This is homicide. We just multiply. We been on the rise. If we got some wings, fuck it, we gon' have to fly. Money, what I'm talking about. Day in my life, take me a different route. Use all my case, niggas on my face. You can get erased, what you talking about? Money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you've been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't want to be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money's what I'm talking about. You never crossing these borders. I'm whipping it up, Gordon Ramsay. I swear that I'm cooking these orders. You talk about me, you better just hope that you can just really afford it. I'm balling, I'm winning. I'm feeling like Robert's a horror. Nigga, I'm scoring. I count in the morning. They talk about me, then I gotta ignore it. My bitches be foreign. So independent, my money be corporate. These rappers is boring. You hate me and I'm always gonna adore it. I'm smoking that soaring. She always go ahead and let me explore it. Call her my Dora. You can go and talk about me, I ain't flawless. I go put my all in. If a nigga talk about me, then I'm gone in. You know that I'm gone in. Jump in, take trips, Pompeii. All day, always keep 3 stacks like Andre. I get it, man. And you can never, ever get rid of that. So watch what you say, and watch how Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. You don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. Going into OT when I was loving that cocoa. Spit it all on some promo.